If you were born with a gift, don't give up on it. Even if life pulls you in a different direction, even if decades pass, even if it feels too late, because that gift, that creative spark, it doesn't leave, it waits. I know, because it happened to me. I didn't call myself an artist for most of my life. I drew, I painted, I imagined, because that's what I knew to do. But I never believed it could be more than a hobby, a private joy, escape from reality. Only now, later in life, do I look back and see what was always there and what I almost walked away from. I grew up surrounded by art. Almost everyone in my family painted. There were brushes, canvases, and stories in every room. Creativity was part of life. I was encouraged to draw, to paint, but not to build a life around it. Art was beautiful, but not practical. Not something that could feed you in the time and place I lived then, and probably anywhere else, maybe. So I followed their advice. I didn't expect an art career. I focused on my studies. Then something unexpected happened that changed everything. I fell in love with Barbra Streisand in her iconic movie Funny Girl. At the same time, I also began to be interested in life in America. Barbra became my muse, not just for painting, but for learning. I started studying English just to understand her songs. I was 14. I sketched Barbra again and again, obsessively, trying to capture her expressions from her movies. I also sketched other faces from books, learning to draw realistic portraits. And through that, something in my art shifted. I became more focused, more emotionally connected to what I was making. I also began reading American books. I did illustrations of Steinbeck's and Faulkner's novels. My imagination was traveling, even though my body couldn't, because I was growing up behind the Iron Curtain in former Czechoslovakia. My world was closed, locked in. And then something incredible happened. Barbra came to my country to make a movie set in 1904 Europe, and I got on the list of the extras. That was in 1982. I was 18. For a brief moment, I was part of something magical. A different world of freedom and possibilities. To be so close to freedom and the magic of the filmmaking, the movie Yentl itself, and watching Barbra and her crew work stirred something deep inside me. I didn't want to give up that atmosphere, the mystery and magic of the old cobbled streets, the lives hidden behind the walls. I began painting old cities and streets in my own imaginative and a bit whimsical way. I didn't know I will come back and develop this style much later in life. I still didn't want to call myself an artist. But looking at those drawings and paintings now, I can see clearly I was already an artist. I just didn't know it. After the Iron Curtain fell, I did what I had always dreamt of. I got out. I traveled, studied, and lived abroad. Britain, Greece, Germany, France, Italy. I learned languages. I built a life full of the experiences I once could only imagine. But during those years, my art became slowly quiet. Only occasionally I picked up my gouaches and color pencils or pastels. Art never disappeared, but it lived in the background. Other priorities came first. My creativity was still alive, just silent. Then came the time when I felt like I lost it, like I couldn't paint anymore. I didn't have the skill when I tried to paint something for my first YouTube video. It was quite disturbing. Then another unexpected thing happened. When I turned almost 50, I moved to the United States. And slowly my artist self began to reawaken. It had to, because I studied graphic design and we had an art class. It was not easy, but I started painting again. But this time it felt different. I focused on expression, on color, on emotion. I began painting places, streets, and houses again, not as they looked, but as they felt. At this time, I said it out loud: I am an artist. I began to share my work, to sell it, to live it. What I had once been afraid to claim, I now embraced fully. At school in the United States, I learned Illustrator and Photoshop, and I experimented with them a lot. Soon I also started using Procreate. It was new, exciting, and different. It became my main tool and digital my main medium for several years. It helped me rebuild my confidence without pressure. But something was missing. I missed the feel of paper, the mess of watercolors, the drag of pencil on real texture, the little imperfections. So now I'm starting to blend the two. Digital when I need freedom, traditional when I need grounding. It feels like I've come full circle, from childhood sketchbooks to digital layers, and now somewhere in between. Looking at my old work now, I feel a strange mix of emotions. I see the talent, the imagination, the love, and I also feel a quiet sadness for the path I didn't fully take when I was young. But I don't live in regret, because I know why I followed the path I did. It gave me everything I longed for back then: languages, freedom, the world. And it brought me back to art at a time when I could finally make it mine, because the gift was always there, waiting. If you were born with a gift, don't give up on it. Even if it goes quiet for years, even if life takes you somewhere else, it's still there, and you can come back to it, no matter how hard it feels. Once it was there, it's always there. It's never too late to reclaim who you really are. This is my evolution, not just in art, but in courage, in finally saying, I am an artist, and so are you.